What the link? Think. Today, you're sitting there and you're watching me. And you're watching this reel. You know you're watching. How? You see my five senses. But watch, these five senses do not work unless you are conscious. Unless you are not in coma, not in deep sleep, not in unconscious state, not lying in the operation theater after being injected for operation. You are not aware. Your senses are not working. They're working otherwise, but you're not in senses. Something is not connecting. You know, this light, this air condition, this camera, this nothing is get connected unless there is one thing. Record, tape recorder, the light, the fan, the AC, everything is working. Everything is different apparatus, but everything is connected through one thing, and that is called electricity. You will say it. Just like that, you and I connected with that powerful something called consciousness. And we think all these days that I am actually my consciousness. Aham Brahmasmi. And you've heard this statement called I am that. Now this beautiful understanding is not really true, because there is something in between when you get down to deeper Vedanta for everyday life. And what is that? So an example would help, but before that, the statement: consciousness empowers the reflective consciousness, which is a part of our mind. That mind gets empowered by the consciousness, and that otherwise the mind, the brain will be shocked to hear it has no power of its own as per thousands of years Vedanta. Western world can't find out. You know what can't find out? You see a flower. Imagine. How do you see the flower? Flower doesn't enter your eye. Light falls on it. It enters through the optical lens, sends a tiny particle of electricity to the brain, and brain in turn sends tiny bits of electricity to the mind. Now, up to the mind, Western world through scanners and all that know this discharge of the electricity. But after that, they can't find out till now. This is what David Chalmers is talking, reality plus. Reality is augmented reality, virtual reality, plus is that awareness. It's called awareness. You are aware that you're sitting and watching and listening and doing and learning and eating and having fun. You're aware. That awareness, you're aware you're sitting next to a girl or next to a boy or next to an animal or a tiger, whatever, you're aware. What is this awareness? It's called reflective consciousness, a function of the mind empowered by the consciousness, not a part of the mind. It's an empowered part. Western world call it subconscious mind. But it's got nothing to do with the mind. It just empowers the mind, like that in turn empowers the brain. Brain in turn empowers the senses, which goes out to the world through the apparatus like eye, ear, nose, throat, etc. Brings the world back into you through the again apparatus to the brain to the mind. This is how you and I perceive every moment of the world. Now, so what the secret? The biggest mystery. You know what? This awareness is not consciousness. Then all these days of talk on Vedanta, reality, everyday life, you've been hearing consciousness. Now you were not ready. And some of you were, maybe. Now you're ready for it. What is it? That reflective consciousness is not consciousness. And that is the I feeling. That I feeling, our body is what we say, this is me. But this is not me. It's a body which is given to that I. It's a mind which is given to that I. But the body and the mind is not I, because I from childhood is carrying on. I was that. I was in that picture and I am now teenager and I am now 30 years old young adult. I am now 40. I am now 75. How come I is remaining and body is changing? Mind is changing all the time. Happy in the morning, little later somebody said, and you're already hurt, you're already angry. How come mind is changing? So, Vedanta says, changing and not changing cannot be the same thing. Supposing a fast running person is running past and you are stationary, not changing. Fast running person is changing. You hold on to that person. The moment you hold on, either you will have to move with him or he has to stop. You cannot be the one. To be one, you have to be not changing. Now get back into the metaphor. What's the metaphor? Think. An example would help. Sunlight shines on the moon at night. We can't see the sun now, but it is shining on the moon, and you know by the sign that the moon's light coming onto the earth, let's say a full moon, the other day was the Buddha Purnima. You have the full moon. But that moonlight is not moon's light. You know it technically. But did you ever think of it? It's the biggest mystery because we are not conscious of our consciousness. We are unconscious of our consciousness. You are unconscious that the moon's light is not moon's light. Though technically you know. You never look at the moonlight and say, what beautiful sunlight. Do we? No. Now, that moon's light comes onto the earth. Yes, you can say, after all, if moon wasn't there, the light will not come. Moon has the power to reflect, so moon has the right to say it is moon's light. Okay, in that way you can say that. But strictly speaking, it is the sun's light. Now, think for a second. Jack, this sun's light comes into the moon, moon gives it to the earth. Earth is receiving this. This moon's light is the sun's light called reflective consciousness. Let's take earth is this world, this universe. This moon is called the mind. That's the metaphor. And the sun is called the real consciousness, that big I. And the moon's reflective consciousness is small I. So this mind has got four functions. One is memory. Second is this, you're using that mind for listening, understanding, comprehension, reflection, analysis, metaphors, whatever you're doing, hypothesis. Another function called intellect. Another function called ego. And that ego is what? One ego says, this is me, Robbin Ghosh. My mind is like that, I am like that, my body is like this is me. That is one function of the ego. Another function of the ego is the reflective consciousness, which is that small I called the ego. Now, think, that ego, mind is the understanding, comprehension, metaphor, etc. And the other is memory. So four function. In Sanskrit, mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankar. Now, they are getting empowered, but that is the reflective consciousness. The real sun is the big I. That's who really you and I are. So this is Drik Drishya Viveka. It's a beautiful book, thousands of years old. 700 years ago it was, explained in detail. Explains what is the relationship with the reflective consciousness to the real consciousness, the big I, to the body and to the mind. The answer is beautiful. Drik Drishya Viveka in 22nd verse says, Karmajan, Sahajan, Vrantijan. What is Karmajan? As long as this body lives, that body will say, this is me. As long as I say, I have desires, I will have actions to fulfill the desire, I'll have karma. that is called Karma Yoga, I will say this is me. This is the relationship of that with the reflective consciousness, with the body. What is the reflective consciousness with the mind? Sahaja. What is that? If I have a mirror, I look at the mirror. Sahaja. The moment there is a mirror and my face is there, I'll see my reflection. That reflection is that reflective consciousness to the mind. I will see that image in the mirror. That mirror is the mind. I will see reflective consciousness, that I. But I will never say, this is me. I try to beautify that by beautifying this mind, but I'm looking at that image and I think that is me. Look carefully and think of it next time you see your face in the mirror. You think that's me. That's not you. That's your image in the mirror. And just think, that image is not you. You are here. Have you ever realized you never see your own face? So the advantage of reflective consciousness is with the mind you see your face. That is sahaja, with the mind. What is the reflection relationship with the true consciousness, which is the real I? That is that I am that. Brahmasmi, aham brahmasmi. What is the relationship? And the answer is beautiful. Rigdisha Viveka says, surprise, Vrantijan. What does that mean? Meaning, in Himalaya, in Hindi, this very senior monk say, Beokufi ke batra hai. Meaning, Vrantijan, it's stupidity, no relationship with the supreme consciousness and the reflective consciousness. You say, what? All these days you've been talking about consciousness, body, mind, I, no relationship? No, Vedanta says no. It is you or that big I. You have no relationship with the reflective consciousness. Reflective consciousness is only a power by you. You are the real one. You are the real one. You are that. And this is what David Chalmers, Australian, is talking about. Come, we'll talk more as we go along. I'll give you a small story. Imagine the true consciousness is Rama. And that I is Hanumanji. So Rama asked Hanumanji, Hanuman, how do you look at me? Hanumanji's answer was beautiful. He says, Deha Buddhya Dasoham. When I think I am this body, I am your servant. He goes on to say, Jiva Buddhya Tadam Sakha. When I think of myself as Jiva, that means sentient being, that means I am a mind, body, name, form, etc. I am your part. You are complete, I am a part of you. Atma Buddhya Tameva Aham. When I look at myself as the supreme Atman, supreme I, you and I are not separate. Iti me nischaya buddhi. He says, that is my firm conviction. Think about it. Reflect.